Today I want to talk a little about stress and the effects of stress on your health and well-being, and maybe more relevantly for you, your weight loss goals. Stress can be an inhibiting factor to succeeding at weight loss or obtaining a healthy lifestyle, but we don't always understand why. And so I think understanding what the effect stress has on us will help you kind of clear up the problems that might be existing in your life so that you can better manage stress and therefore attain the goals that you're looking to obtain. Everybody knows that stress is bad for you. I mean, I feel like it's been everywhere at some point in time. You have to have been exposed to it by now. But understanding why is really key. And I'm going to do my very best in layman's terms, without getting too technical, to briefly explain kind of the full gamut of the variety of stresses and its effect on your body. And this isn't going to get so in-depth, so hopefully I will answer any questions, but feel free to email me when this is over if you would like me to expand on anything in particular. The first thing I want to talk about is the types of stress, and there is physical stress, there's mental stress, but there's also stress that we don't even know exists, and it's stress that we put on our bodies because of the types of food we're eating, the amount of food we're eating at a given time, or better yet, the lack of food we're eating. And that leads me to talk about cortisol, which is the primary hormone that I want to talk about today. Cortisol is released by the adrenal glands, and it is a stress hormone. But let me step back for a second and explain first why it's released. It's really all about the fight or flight mode. So for an example, I'm going to use an animal example here. If there's a zebra out in a field and a lion, creeps up on the zebra very unexpectedly, something clicks, something goes off in that zebra's body that allows it to basically take off as fast as it possibly can to fly, essentially, away from the lion. So the fight or flight, it's picking to fly. But how is that possible? Naturally, that zebra might not be able to quickly pick up speed like that, but adrenaline happens. Hormones are released in our body. Our mind-body connection really comes into play, and it all happens before we even know what's going on. The bad part about that is when it happens, a certain amount of hormone has been released into our body, and that hormone is essentially there to provide us energy. Just like if we were that zebra, it would be able to provide us the energy to run away. So what does that have to do with stress? Well, stress puts us under conditions that we release those types of hormones. So the one, like I said, I'm going to talk about is cortisol. And when cortisol is released into your body, it releases glucose or sugar, blood sugar, into your bloodstream. Usually that comes from the liver. It's stored in the liver and it's released from there, and that is meant to give you energy. However, most of the time our stressful situations don't require energy. So when your boss comes in and says, oh, that deadline that was next Friday, I need it by Thursday, and it's Tuesday, and you're freaking out because you're stressed, you can't get it done, it's just not possible. No physical demand was put on your body, but yet because of the mental stress, your body still released those hormones. And the last thing you're going to do when your boss comes in and tells you have to get everything done is get up and do 100 jumping jacks followed by some push-ups and some sit-ups to try to burn off the energy that was just released in your body. So what happens to it? So you've got this extra glucose in your system, which essentially is energy, and you're not using it. And if it doesn't get used, what happens? Of course it gets stored, and unfortunately as fat. And the even more unfortunate part, which I'm sure none of you are going to like to hear, is cortisol is more likely to be stored. The energy released from cortisol is more likely to be stored in the abdominal area. So if you've been dealing with belly fat, that might be why. So if you're put under physical stress, you're probably burning off the cortisol. If you're put under mental stress, you're not likely to burn it off. So avoiding those situations is definitely better. But the third thing I want to address is food and its effect on your stress levels in your body, your cortisol levels in your body. Most of us don't think about food as being something that could possibly put strain on our body. Besides, of course, going to the buffet and stuffing ourselves till we can't breathe. I mean, obviously that's a form of stress on our body, but in a different way than you might realize. We've all probably heard at some point in time that it's good to eat several smaller meals throughout the day rather than a few large meals. And it all has to do with cortisol and the release of the energy into your body. Let's say your diet's 2,000 calories, just to be easy, and you divide that up between 3 or 4 meals, so you're getting 500, 600, 700 calories a meal. And when you're putting that food in your body, you're getting it all at once. So, for example, it's like filling up your car with gas. For a given week, you need, let's just say you need 10 gallons of gas because of your trip. But your tank only holds 7. So you put all 10 gallons of gas in your car, 3 of them are going to spill out. They're unnecessary. You're not needing them. But then you're going to run out, and all of a sudden you've already used those extra 3 gallons. And it's kind of the same way with food. If you're fueling yourself more than you actually need at a given time, it's completely wasted. Unfortunately, the gas would spill out of your car. The food doesn't just spill out of your body. It's going to get stored, which is another topic that, I could go into lots and lots of details on. But the point is that you're giving your body excess amount of something. So what happens when you give your body excess amount is it spikes your energy levels. It spikes that blood sugar. And when the blood sugar is too high, your body knows it needs to respond. So it releases insulin, and insulin then reacts by taking the blood sugar out of the bloodstream. Because you don't need that much. You're not doing anything that needs that much energy, so it's got to take it out. Unfortunately, insulin usually overreacts and then drops your blood sugar too low because it's afraid that it's taking everything in that it can, taking it all out, and all of a sudden now you've gone below a good blood sugar amount. And so when that energy crash happens, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you ate at 12, and you're like, man, I'm starved, I can't stay awake, your blood sugar's dropped too low, most likely, anyway. So when that blood sugar hits a too low level, below your ideal blood sugar line, that's when cortisol is released, because you're drained. You have no energy, or you feel like you have no energy because of a sense of lack of blood sugar. And cortisol is there to provide the energy for you. Unfortunately, like I said, most of us at that point aren't going to get up and do jumping jacks and sit-ups because that's the last thing from our mind. We're just happy to be able to not fall asleep at our desk. So that cortisol is going to get stored. But usually, because of our diets, this is the cyclical pattern. And so your blood sugar spikes way up and then way down, and then way up and way down. And so several times throughout the day, you're hitting that level where the cortisol comes in. And hence the reason for excessive amounts of belly fat. So when you eat small meals throughout the day, you prevent that from happening because you give yourself enough food so that your blood sugar doesn't spike too high. You get the energy you need to perform the task at hand, and when the energy is about used up, it's time to eat again. You have physical stress, you have mental stress, and you have a stress placed on your body because of the types and timing of food that you're eating. So be aware of those things. Watch the mental stress. Take nice deep breaths. And keep those things in mind when your boss comes in. Just don't panic and deep breaths. And in terms of the food, avoid a lot of really high sugary carbs, processed foods. They're going to cause your blood sugar to spike, even just a little bit. So you want to avoid those. And eating small meals spread throughout the day will help. So I hope this gives you a little bit of insight as to what exactly stress does to your body and how you might be able to prevent it a little.